The day before is blaming content creators. A Kickstarted MMO is letting in testers into their game this weekend. Blizzard is facing kind of a reckoning and a game may be canceled under their new ownership. Palworld may or may not be getting sued, I'm not entirely sure. And a 2D MMO is actually finding some success after launching this month. Here's some quick MMO news for you this week. Remember when the day before was revealed to be nothing that said it would be, not an MMO, not complete, and well, not good? Well, Fantastic has fired at all that criticism it got and has instead heaped all of that blame for everything that went down on the feet of Force Gaming. Okay, so it's not really just Force, but in this right here, they kind of go at lashing out at pretty much everybody. It was in a Twitter post that has since been deleted, but the document is really defending themselves and claiming that anonymous people spread misinformation. The anonymous people seem to be everyone from former employees to journalists and content creators. And honestly, I'm getting really tired of this "we didn't crowdfund" and "we didn't take your money," or "if we did take your money, we refunded it," as some example of not being scammy or shitty or deceitful. It's a really, they can scam in other ways. They don't have to just directly take your money to be scamming. I mean, essentially, like, just think about if you're an investor and you're looking at, wow, look at this Steam chart and how it is the most wish listed game out there. Look at this trailer. This looks amazing. I should invest in this product. Or maybe, perhaps, other game developers that are getting screwed over by those wish lists and things like that, because it pushes their legitimate games down the list. There's other ways to scam beyond just taking your money, beyond taking the $10 to back the game. Something that was used as a defense more recently in another game that I've covered on this channel. I think you know the one I'm talking about. Moving on to more sobering news, the carnage in the game world continues as Microsoft has laid off 1,900 employees from their gaming division, most of which were from newly acquired Blizzard, as reported by Massively OP. Among these layoffs includes President of Blizzard Mike Ibarra. With these layoffs, there has also been a lot of rumors, some of which appear to be substantiated, that the survival MMO at Blizzard might actually be canceled. The MMO Odyssey has been in development for a while. As Massively OP reports, these leadership changes further signal the end of Blizzard's in-development survival sandbox MMO, which we first caught wind of in 2022. Booty says that Microsoft will be shifting some of the people working on it to one of several promising new projects Blizzard has in the early stages of development. I have briefly covered this survival game on this channel in the past, but what you don't know is that I've been working on a script for a while now on why this game may actually be a mistake for Blizzard before it even releases. And it's partly because the way that survival games work now and the way that they are trying to make them work in MMOs don't always seem compatible. You have games that work very well when you limit the server sizes to 10 people, 6 people, 20 people, 30 people, maybe even 50 people. But when you start expanding that out, when you start expanding this freedom, this survival, this building, all of the things that tend to go into a survival game, even when you have PvP and you expand it out into the thousands of players per server, well, you probably end up doing what New World did and figuring out that's probably not going to work out that well. And you pivot way too late and make an incomplete game that everyone tries to like and then hates. New World is an interesting story, isn't it? But this all contributes to a much larger trend that we have been seeing all across the tech industry. It's a trend that is especially been seen in the gaming industry. It's always heart-wrenching to see people that love their jobs, that are putting their heart and soul into this art form that we all love and enjoy, that is gaming, and see them, get removed from that position. That basically cost cutting, things that are outside of their power, the mistakes that may not have had anything to do with them, are just kind of taking their joy away. So I hope that these people that got laid off at Blizzard and other ZeniMax and other companies are able to find somewhere else where they can put their talents to use, where they can create something that they will feel proud of and something that they will enjoy, and maybe even create their own game. Who knows? Pirate Software is doing a game bash, I believe, right? So you know what? Just hopefully this works out in the end. But it has been a disturbing and painful trend we've been seeing over the last probably like 2 years, 3 years even, but really acute in the last couple months. But on to some brighter news. Fans of Pantheon should rejoice, because if you're an alpha tester, you get to play again soon. Like, really fucking soon. January's producer letter was short, but it had big implications. Alpha testers will get to stress test again on January 27th for 24 hours starting at 10 a.m. PST. The test will likely include the new persistence fix, which briefly derailed the planned alpha test back in December. Those tests ended up going forward with some modifications that split players into groups and set it over a couple days. But then they also had a stress test after that, which kind of dealt with that. So this marks the second stress test for alpha testers in as many months, and the third alpha eligible testing overall in the last 2 months. Pre-alpha pledges have also currently been playing the game 24/7. In more good news for the indie MMO, the second new playable race, the Ogre, sounds like it'll be coming along online soon, as they're currently working on armor fitting. From the QA in January, we learned that from the Ogre, they'll move on to the Gnome, thus representing the human as the base model, the Ogre as the largest model, and the Gnome as the smallest model. It sounded like this may speed up the other character races, since you'll have the extremes of the spectrum completed. It also sounds like a new zone, or at least part of it, is coming to testers soon. As they put it, we are getting very close to letting our community experience AVP Orange. Most of the terrain and biome is in place, the NPCs are being populated, and the caves are being built out. This will not be the entirety of the zone. The zone is huge. As they said, they have it split off into 3 different areas, but you can learn more of that in the producer's letter, which I have linked down below. Now, this next little news bit probably could have been its own video. We're going to talk about Palworld and Enshrouded. Palworld, the survival game that's Pokemon with guns, but also totally not Pokemon, that may or may not have used AI and is causing all kinds of feelings and emotions all over the internet. One thing is certain, the game has been a hit, selling over 8 million copies. But as Forbes reports, that may have caught the ire of the Pokemon company. While they didn't mention Palworld by name, it's pretty damn obvious who they're referring to in this statement that was released on January 25th. We have received many inquiries regarding another company's game released in January 2024. We have not granted any permission for use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to Pokemon. We will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon and its world, and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future. It's kind of a shame that all that cherishing and nurturing hasn't resulted in a Pokemon game that has universally been enjoyed in quite some time, as we get kind of the same repeated formula over and over again, and lots of disappointment. In the meantime, Palworld continues to exceed all expectations. For me personally, I honestly wasn't really a fan of it. I jumped in, tried it out, got a Game Pass, but found myself bored very quickly, and I think that came down to the realization that outside of the pals in the game, it kind of felt very dull. Pretty, but dull. That doesn't mean I don't think it's not a good game, it's just perhaps not the game for me. In fact, while I was playing Palworld, the game that I kept wanting to play just released. That game is Enshrouded. Enshrouded released onto early access on January 24th, 2024. And this is all the start of what will be a very busy 2 months for fans of the Survival PvE Co-op game. First you had Palworld, then you have Enshrouded, and coming in February we'll have Nightingale. But back to Enshrouded, it has the feel of a game that's going to let you build some really incredible structures and do so without pesky physics getting in the way. It launched into a much more muted reception than Palworld, but it did briefly become a top seller on Steam and now currently sits at number 2 with an 83% positive rating and a couple 100,000 viewers watching, with all-time player peaks around 75,000 on Steam. The last bit of news I want to end with here is about a 2D MMO that released on January 17th. This MMO has drawn comparisons to both Tibia and ArcheAge, and yes, I realized in my video I called it Ashes of Creation in 2D, and I really got a ton of people very upset with me that I didn't mention Tibia or ArcheAge. I'm sorry, I'm saying it now. Are we good? Are we okay now? The fact that I called it Tibia and ArcheAge? Moving on. It seems to have been enjoyed by many players since launch, and Tavernlight, the developer of the game, posted an update with, honestly, kind of a strange graphic. I have no idea what they mean by 1.2 million unique views and 1.5 million hours watched in 6 days. I assume this is referring to either YouTube or Twitch stats, because those are the kind of stats that I get, but if that's the case, it's still pretty impressive. To put that in perspective, over the last 90 days, this channel has had 269,998 unique viewers and 38,003 watch hours across all videos. That's over 90 days, and they far surpassed that in 6. Pretty impressive, if that's what they're talking about. I don't know, but we do know that they have a roadmap. The roadmap will include things like new skills, guild wars, new zones, a major content patch, which a new zone is apparently not a major content patch. That's interesting. And arenas, which, I mean, all of this sounds like it's going to be really interesting. So if you want to try that new MMO that just launched, it is a title with a low barrier to entry, but it does have an optional sub. I personally think the optional sub is less optional and more of a requirement, just based off all the stuff it gives you, especially like things like skipping the queue. But if you want to just like see some more on the 2D MMO, I covered it in this video right here. My name is Redbeard Flynn. Thank you so much for watching. And don't worry, EverQuest and EverQuest 2 fans, I will be creating a new video at some point on the anniversary, on the roadmap, on what to expect from EverQuest during their year of Darkpaw. I'm just waiting for some merch to come in.